Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. It's great having you with us. C.H. Reeves and Carlton Francis teachers who had their salaries cut last month are a happy bunch, singing praises as Justice Bernard Turner today ruled in Supreme Court that teachers be paid by the Ministry of Education. Teachers celebrating Justice Turner's ruling sang songs of victory as they marched towards Rawson Square. Khalil Parker, who represents the Bahamas Union of Teachers, had this to say following the ruling.
The court ordered that the government not interfere with teachers' salaries going forward. The court also ordered that any salaries that were interfered with be restored in full. The court then ordered that the teachers report for duty and that he prohibited the union from acting in breach of sections, I think 74, 75, and 83, basically talking about illegal strike.
Union President Belinda Wilson says she believes justice was served as the BUT remains committed to the rights of its members.
So we're happy. We're really happy because justice has been served today, and it shows that it does not matter whether the employer is the government vis-a-vis the Ministry of Education. But as a union, we must stand for the rights of our members. So we're really, really happy today.
Now, those celebrating the reimbursement of teachers' salaries that were cut, Mrs. Wilson says the health and safety of C.H. Reeves remains her concern.
Okay, so the other concern is, and I will speak with the permanent secretary almost immediately to find out when we can tour C.H. Reeves School to make sure that the health and safety issues have been addressed, and the Carlton Francis teachers will be reporting to school. Both Carlton and C.H. Reeves will be reporting to school immediately.
Calmer heads must prevail, so says Tourism Minister Denicio de Aguilar, and that's when it comes to impending industrial action proposed by the Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union in their standoff with hotel executives. The minister advising that this is not the time for any action that can negatively impact the tourism product, particularly in light of visitor arrivals being down post-Hurricane Dorian due to the loss of Abaco and Grand Bahama.
It would be madness for us right now to in any way negatively impact the experience of foreign visitors to our country. We have to do everything that we possibly can to ensure that persons that come to this country have a wonderful experience and get on their cell phones and take loads of wonderful pictures and have thousands of tales of how wonderful their experience was in the Bahamas to entice those visitors that may have considered a holiday in the Bahamas and for what they've heard decided not to entice them back.
Now, the tourism minister says he's not taking any sides in the matter, adding that he had no communication with either side since the union's announcement. He further explained that discussions before Dorian's passage would be the same in the aftermath of the monster hurricane.
What you may have considered something you could have done back then, you really have to seriously consider that now, because the country is reeling from lost revenue and enormously increased expenses. And so we can't in any way negatively impact that any further. We have to be very, very careful not to impede or negatively impact our number one industry.
When asked if the union's action came at a bad time in the tourism sector, the minister said this.
My point is that they have to, you can't be making the same decisions today that you would have made 5 or 6 months ago. The country is in a completely different place. Everybody knows that. And so I implore and I beg, let calmer heads prevail, and let's do nothing, especially as we enter into the Thanksgiving and Christmas season. Do nothing to impede or impact, negatively impact further the effects on our economy.
Union officials are decrying a proposed industrial agreement. The union's industrial agreement expired in 2012, and proposals were sent to employers between December 2018 and January 2019. Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness Management and Reconstruction, Hiram Lewis, says cleanup in all the shanty towns in Abaco are near completion, except one. According to the minister, displaced hurricane victims have occupied one area using makeshift tents as homes that he says must be dealt with before cleanup can commence.
There are persons in the area, and I'll be fair, there are persons in the area, and we must now manage how we clean up, because we cannot allow residents to be in the area while we're doing our work. So we have to ensure that we are allowed to do our work in a safe manner. There aren't any obstruction from persons who might be moving to the areas, whether they are NGOs or persons seeking shelter. So again, it's posing a challenge, but we'll do it the right way, the humane way, to ensure that we have these areas cleaned up, because again, there's nothing to demolish. All of the rubbish is on the ground, the refuge is on the ground. We just need to get in and clean it up.
Now, the minister did not give a timeline as to when cleanup in the area will begin, but meantime, the Sandbanks area is also near completion.
Sandbank is being done at a high level also. I'm very impressed with the contractors on the site. They are clearly showing how they separate the various debris. There's a clear separation of vegetative from the white waste, the electronics, from the metal, from the whole sole, the mattress. Everything is properly sorted, and it's being transported to the laydown site in that same manner. So yes, Sandbanks right now is about high 80s, almost 90% completed, and it's being well done.
His comments came some weeks after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced in the House of Assembly that he has asked the Attorney General to go back to court to get the injunction stopping the demolition of shanty towns lifted. Residents at Abaco shanty towns were originally given until July 2019 to vacate the area. Following Dorian's passing, Shantytown Action Task Force Chair Senator Dion Folks said the decision to demolish shanty towns was out of concern for residents. Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson says in the year 2020, the Bahamas can expect a slight decline in economic output due to Hurricane Dorian.
That the IMF projections project a slight contraction of the economy in 2020 because of the storm. I think, though, that what mitigates positively for the Bahamas is the fact that we will have a major new property open up in New Providence. We continue to see very healthy growth in tourism because the country continues to be a hot property. Bahamas is fully open. The vacation home rental market continues to perform well. So while I anticipate there will be an inevitable impact in 2020 because of Dorian, but I think the rebuilding activity and these other things will mitigate it and will allow us to survive it fairly readily.
However, Mr. Johnson says the government will bring a supplementary budget that will account for the losses and the increases that is anticipated to rebuild the infrastructures on Abaco's and Grand Bahama. While acknowledging that unemployment has declined, the Financial Secretary expects that the anticipated economic growth on these islands will cause employment to stabilize.
What will mitigate against some of the anticipated jump in unemployment is how quickly the island economies get back moving. And so the construction activity and rebuilding will generate some employment. As those businesses get back open, they'll start to pull some of the draw. So fortunately, we have properties like The Point coming on stream early in the new year to mop up some of the unemployment. So it really is the pace of economic growth, the extent to which government projects, the extent to which private sector projects can be up and running, and some of these construction activities both across the Bahamas and particularly back in Abaco, that'll help to mitigate against some of the spike in unemployment.
Mr. Johnson believes that tourism will mitigate the contraction in the economy. He says a major new property will open in New Providence and vacation home rental markets are performing well, adding that the rebuilding activities will allow the Bahamas to survive the economic decline in 2020 fairly readily. Mr. Johnson says it will take several years for the Bahamas to make up for the lost economic ground as a result of Hurricane Dorian, but he looks forward to seeing how quickly the country can rebuild. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.